Hi everyone, this is Mia Raven from Manifest 5D. I am a multi-instrumentalist, a coach, and I am here to bring you to your highest timeline. So for today, we're going to talk about the death of your old self, mourning your old self, and really just death in general. I think this is a topic that is very hard to talk about for many people because many of us have experienced the transition of a loved one. And I want to talk about death because I had the anniversary of somebody that I was in a romantic relationship with for quite a while. That person had passed away. They passed away at age 23. And it was a tragic experience. But I realized that even though the way that they transitioned was extremely difficult for me to go through, I realized that it was absolutely necessary. That this transition for them was a part of their own journey. And it was a part of my journey. And when I got away from my ego, I was able to accept and realize that this person came into my life to teach me and show me and shake things up in a way that would push me towards growth. And that's the unfortunate thing about many traumatic people. Some people would call them karmics, right? People that bring about challenge and difficulty in your life. And even transitions that happen, trauma that happens, these things, even though they're extremely uncomfortable and they're extremely difficult to deal with, they bring about a shift, a change. And so the important thing is to remember the fact that death is not always a bad thing. I think that we always look at death as a bad thing and we don't want to die and we don't want other people to die. But the reality is that the longer that I'm on the earth, the more I start to think that perhaps there's something better, right? After this experience of consciousness. And it's not to say that I would wish death upon anyone or wish death upon myself. I want to be very clear. I would never wish that upon anyone. This is an experience that is very unique. Life, right? Life in the 3D here is very unique. But what I do want to say is that I think we're kidding ourselves if we think that this experience, this conscious experience, is the best thing we could ever experience, right? It's the best version of reality that we could experience. I think that that's something that could be explored further, questioned even, because it's possible that this is just the training grounds for a better, more, more elevated version of reality. We really don't know, right? And I've had something that's been somewhat of a near-death experience. And when I thought that I was dying, I honestly only felt pain right before the part that I thought that I was dying. And when I actually felt like I was dead, it was really just ego death. But when I felt like I was dead, guess what? I actually felt so connected. I felt so much joy. It was like everything that led up to that, right? The feeling, the fear of dying. That's what was the scariest part. But the actual part where I didn't feel like I was alive anymore, that was not scary. That was not painful. It was everything leading up to that. Now, what does that tell us about consciousness? It tells us that death itself is actually not a bad thing. Again, not that I would wish it upon anybody, but I think that if we think about this deeply, we can realize that death is a transition. And it is us, the ego, in our egoic state that is so afraid. Because the ego, really it's the ego that's afraid. It's the ego that's afraid of dying. And when the ego knows that its days are numbered and that it may cease to exist, it does crazy wild things to get you looped into fear. Because the ego wants to survive. It's just its way of maintaining itself. And that little ego, that little ego that we all have, right, tries to hold on for dear life using fear as a tactic to keep you locked in. But when the ego has taken its last breath, you shift and you transition and you are reborn. And you feel the connectedness of all things. And there is a level of just pure connection, pure energy. And you know that you're okay, that everything's fine, that everything is connected. And you have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, because everything is connected. So that brings me to the second part of this video, which is talking about the death of yourself, right? And when I talk about that, I don't mean physical. I mean your ego, your identity, right? Who you think you were. We talked about this in another video. And shifting who you think you are into who you want to be. And the death of that old person. And it's really interesting because I'm having my own personal experience right now of embodying and embracing a new version of myself. And I'm noticing and I'm watching how old elements of me come up. There's people that I've talked to and they mirror back to me parts of myself that I am letting go of. And to see it mirrored back to me helps me to reassure myself, okay, no, I'm not going to be that person anymore. No, I don't like that. I don't want to be that. No, I'm good. I'm good. I really want to move forward into the person I want to be now. Because the universe will do that. As you shift, as you change, as you decide to show up as a person that you want to be, the universe will be like, hey, are you sure you don't want to still be this person? Hey, come on, for old time's sake, come on back to being that person you used to be that we all know and love. Come on, don't you want to be them still? And you get to decide. You get to review and go, yes, I guess I actually, they weren't so bad. I guess I could be that person. But a lot of times, if you've made a decision that you don't want to be a certain person anymore, it's probably likely you really, truly don't want to be that person anymore. And maybe you're afraid, and maybe it's easier to go back to the person that you used to be. It's obviously going to be way easier to do that. And everything is set up. Your ego, everybody is rooting for you to be the person that you always were because it makes them feel more comfortable. And really, it makes your ego feel comfortable because everyone is you pushed out, right? So your ego is more comfortable with that. Your ego feels safe in being the person that it's always been. And therefore, the people around you will also mirror that or project, your ego is projecting onto them, right? And everyone is you pushed out. So they are showing back to you, right? Your ego's fear of you changing, which is why a lot of times people will have experiences when they change where there's people that start to get upset with them because they're changing, because they're shifting. And that's really just, I think the way I look at it is that's your ego, right? Projecting onto those people, and they're projecting back to you your ego's fears of you changing, right? So when you know that, then you know that it's like, okay, regardless of what everyone says and regardless of everyone's dissatisfaction and regardless of the dissonance that I feel within myself of I know I want to be this person and I know that I used to be this person and I feel like a phony when I try to be the new person because it doesn't feel like me because it's uncomfortable and it's new, right? And you just have to embrace that. You just have to embrace it because it's similar to when I was just talking about the death experience, right? The transition, right? And so what's happening right now when you're trying to be a new person is that you are experiencing that uncomfortable feeling. It's that feeling right before the actual shift, right? Where you're afraid, where all this stuff comes out and you feel this feeling of fear and trauma and, oh no, what's gonna happen? Oh no, I'm gonna die. The ego's freaking out because it's like, oh no, I'm gonna die. But then, if you keep going, right, then the shift happens. And suddenly, you are that person. And suddenly, you have leveled up. And now you're experiencing life the way that you want to. Because you're showing up as the person that you want to. So your reality is now reflecting that new person. So I'm going to leave it there because I have a tendency to jibber jabber and I don't want to make this too long. I'm trying to keep my videos under 15 minutes. If you found value in this video, if you can like, share, or subscribe, or all of the above, I definitely appreciate that. I am trying to grow this channel from the ground up and it's exciting, and I really love to know if the things that I'm doing are helpful. I'm always open to, suggestions, feedback, comments, questions, all of that good stuff. So definitely don't be shy, and let me know what you think in the comments. And I will be giving some information about a coaching cohort program that I'll be starting in 2026. So stay tuned for that. I will have some more information about that in the coming weeks. And I'm really excited about it. It's like my first coaching program, although I have been a music instructor for over 8 years now. And through teaching people how to play multiple instruments, I've learned a lot about how people learn, and just like I've learned so much about human emotion. And honestly, I feel like I bring a really unique perspective into coaching that a lot of other people may not have, just because music is such an amazing art form, and learning how to play an instrument really reveals a lot about your psyche. And so I'm super excited to bring some of the valuable, unique insights I have into my work as a coach. So definitely, like I said, follow, subscribe, like, share, all of that means so much to me, and super excited to have another video for you next week. So have a beautiful week, keep manifesting, and I'll see you next time. Peace.